interactive.
Okay, it's now 1 o'clock. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to the Monday, April 4th meeting. We'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. As usual, the first item on our agenda is our county attorney, Matt Shipman.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, perfect. The only thing I have to report on are those contracts that are the public defender contract and the other contract that are on the agenda. I did review those, and those seem fine.
Okay. Any questions for Matt? Then we'll move on to the next item, which is Amy Biggs, director from EMA.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce to the county and to those in our area. We have fulfilled the responsibilities of the deputy director. I'd like to introduce Kyle Bear. Kyle hails from the Churubusco area. He's been volunteered for Churubusco Smith Township for a number of years. Recently has added responsibilities as the assistant chief. He also has served in the community under Parkview Whitley EMS. So if he looks like a familiar face to many, he may have been at your aid in any one of those areas. But we're excited to have Kyle on board. He's already demonstrated in the few weeks he's been with us, his motivation and what type of assets he can bring to emergency management to fulfill a lot of the goals that we have in our community. So Kyle, is there anything you would like to add?
No, just happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
All right, I just wanted to formally introduce him to the community and to the commissioners. And as always, if there's anything we can assist you with, we'll always be at your service.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Next item on the agenda is Paula Warden with the pretrial public defense counsel contract and updated board membership.
Hello.
So as Matt said, I'm sure you both have had the opportunity to review the public defender contract. I did not draft it, Judge Hall did. One of the requirements for it to be certified as a pretrial program, we have to have a public defender. This is all going to be funded through grant funds. I just need your permission to go forward with that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request for the public defender to approve the contract. George seconds. Is there any further discussion? I'll call for the vote, and it'll be a voice vote since George isn't present. So I'll start with Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and I am an aye.
Thank you. And the other thing I have is we have updated our Willy County Community Corrections Advisory Board members. The mayor has now appointed Gary Parrott to represent his office. In addition, we've added Anthony Churchward and Elizabeth Decker. And we'd like your approval to make those changes to the board. Hopefully you got that email, the list. Yeah.
Is it the one that you sent? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have any? You want to make a motion?
Yes,
I'll make a
please.
motion to approve the updated board appointments.
I'll
Okay, I have a
second.
motion. I have a motion, and now I have a second to approve the new board members. I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and I am an aye.
That just requires one signature. You want to keep that, Tiffany?
Yes, I'll scan it to you.
Do you have anything else for me?
I don't.
No, thanks for all you do.
All right,
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the bridge inspection contract. So this contract is between NDOT, LPA, and Whitley County government. And it is, as I understand it, it's our notice to proceed. And I know that Jenny couldn't make it today, but I did see, and that's correct, right? So we're all good on that. And I have that contract from DocuSign. So there's nothing to sign today, but after we've approved it in DocuSign, then we'll get a printed copy. So I would entertain a motion to approve that contract.
I'll make a motion to approve the bridge inspection contract.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and I have a second to approve the contract. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. So I will go into DocuSign immediately following the meeting. And then do you get a copy of that? Does that just automatically default to you, or
Not really sure.
I'll find out?
If you could even send it on to me as well.
Yep. Next up is Scott Wagner to talk about House Bill 1245, I believe enacted, right? House Bill enacted.
So I don't know if you had time to look over House Bill 1245. It basically deals with septic and sanitary sewer connections for residential structures. In the past, the states allowed local jurisdictions and counties to make more restrictive ordinances with regards to septic system installation and sewer connections. The state has now taken that away. And so as of July 1st, 2023, we will not be able to make any more restrictive ordinances to the state code. So I am on the state code committee for looking at this, trying to change the state law to encompass many things that the counties would like to see in there. See if that could be passed this next year while we wait. However, the issue that has come up is sanitary sewer connections. So as of July 1st this year, it has a different provision in there, and I could speak to this. But basically, it used to be your septic system had to be within the last 10 years installed new, or to even be considered an exemption from the connecting to sewer. Now it can be of any age, provides that the health department or its designated or a qualified inspector, whoever that may be, allow those exemptions to occur. So I'm here to talk to you about not allowing the health department to make those inspections. I think that puts a lot of liability on the county. When it was a 10-year or newer septic system, that's pretty good data. We've inspected it. We can see where the components are. We know that it's either functioning or not functioning well. Probably the same owner at the time it was installed. But when we look at a septic system of indefinite age, sometimes 40, 50 years old, we have no idea whether it was installed correctly, even if there's a permit on file, who's owned it, how they maintained it. And for us to say that something's good to go, I think it's a huge liability for us. In 1997, when I came in here, the commissioners did pass a rule that says that we are not allowed to do inspections for mortgage sale transactions because of the similar situation. You go out there, you don't know what's been done to that septic in those 40, 50 years. And so this is another situation, and I'm sure after maybe consulting with Matt, we can talk about it at another meeting or so. But I want to bring it to your attention that we're already getting phone calls about the proposed sewer connections, people wanting exemptions, and these are oftentimes older septics. And so I'm really concerned for the county for liability. If we were to approve these and then they don't function or they're sold to somebody else, and then what happens then? Do we get sued, or are we responsible? I just think that that's a huge thing for us. And I have talked to many other counties, including Allen County, and I don't feel that they're going to be doing these inspections either. They're just going to put it off to a third party and go from there.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that we would do them even without you coming here today. It doesn't make sense. And not only because of the liability, but it just doesn't feel like it's in the wheelhouse of our local health department.
Right, now just because they were getting exemption doesn't mean that the sewer board, the regional sewer board would approve it, because they're the ultimate approving of exemption or not. But I still think that it would be a huge liability for us government department to say this 40-year-old septic system is just fine, or saying it's not failing, which says it's okay. I think going to court, that would be a huge issue. We would have a lot of liability in that. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I've been collecting those who call in, their name, the date that they asked for that, their address, and when we have a permit on file, just to start collecting that. I've told them right now, we're not doing those. The state law is changing July 1st, and there may be further information for them in the future. I didn't want to speak out of hand. I just want to make sure we got consensus. Let Matt chime in and see what happens.
Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so the law, as Scott said, the law did change July 1st. And so there are some kind of tight time windows on losing control of this process though. And so I am on spring break this week, but when I get back next week, I think Scott and I for sure, and maybe, if one of you wants to participate, should get together and talk through this, because once a homeowner requests an exemption, we have 60 days, I believe, to complete that process, whether it's Scott, the health department, or our designee. And if we don't, then it allows a homeowner to be able to find an outside party ultimately to do that inspection. And we could end up in a big old mess if we aren't the ones. I don't care that it's not the health department, but we want to be probably in control of making sure that the person that we know is qualified to make those decisions is actually the one doing it, not just some random guy you found on the internet. And so, but I say Scott, you and I should get together first next week and talk through what that looks like.
Is there anyone in the industry now who's inspecting them?
So Allen County does have what they call an operating permit. So they do have qualified inspectors that they have approved in Allen County through their ordinance to inspect septic systems. So there
Okay.
are people of them in Allen County that probably would be, that they have some working experience in Willy County as well. So there is
Okay.
that. There is no general industry or state approved list or anything like that as of right now. So like you said, it could be, I'm qualified, and then they go in and do it. So
Yeah.
this all does not provide for any qualifications. So I agree with that we probably need to have some control of that, but just how do we reduce our liability? And so that do we just have permission? We're not going to approve anything, that's older than 10 years. I don't know. So that's something we need to talk about. Secondly, in here is about septic systems. And there's several disturbing things in the law that allow septics to be installed in compact soils and in fill dirt, which the state law previously did not allow. So I think that we may be in discussions in this next year about having a disclosure statement that's released or have signed for every septic that's installed, simply because I believe that systems installed after July 1st of next year will be of weaker caliber than the ones that we have now, because we have more stringent rules that make sure they last longer, and those rules will be existing in a year. So that's something we need to talk about in coming year.
What do you see the spirit or the intent of changing the rule?
I think the intent is, one, you have 92 counties, you probably have 92 different rules. And even though most systems installed in Northeast Indiana are very similar, you have little quirks in each county, so they probably want to get away with that. Secondly, I see just somebody who's just upset with local government altogether and want to get rid of sewer and septic and some zoning issues just with one pen. So yeah, I think it just makes it more difficult because, like I explained with the state commissioner the other day, Indiana has varying degrees of soils in Indiana. We have the northwest of Indiana is completely different from the northeast. The southern areas where there's bedrock and limestone are completely different from ours. And so to write a state law that encompasses all the types of soils that we have, really would be too much. So they write a general rule and then let the counties make more restrictive laws that pertain to their types of soils, their types of conditions that make sense for them. Now it's being taken away, so it's gonna make it harder to regulate and protect groundwater in Indiana.
Yeah, I agree, Scott.
Well, we'll certainly stay tuned. And if you're meeting next week, I'm sure that one of us would be more than happy to join, tag along to learn more.
Thank you.
So next item on the agenda is right-of-way permits. And what this is coming from is we received an email from Katie Fry back on March 28th. And Katie's asking us to consider these fees for regional sewer district projects. She gave us some suggestions on her email. We do have a right-of-way cut permit application now from Daniel Byram, Byam, I suppose is how you say his last name. And that's the company name is the Whitley County Regional Water and Sewer District. So as they move forward with these projects, of course, we need to approve the permit, but then we also need to decide how we want to move forward with future requests from them. Because they'll pile up. There's going to be a lot. George, had you had a chance to look at that email?
Yes, I did. I guess I'm okay with the fees, the actual fees that she's recommending.
Okay.
But I think really, I truly think we need to get together and talk about that. Because she's suggesting to waive right-of-way fees and then, we've got a flat fee or table the fees until the completion of the project. And,
Yes, her third recommendation was to table the fees until the completion of the project and have the project manager and engineers determine the number of each specific cut. And that was the recommendation that I felt most comfortable with. Commissioner Green, do you have anything to add?
No, I agree. I see the intent of what she's trying to do, but since we don't exactly know what the costs would be for every single cut, I think it would be wise that we wait and have the engineers take a look at it.
and I'm not sure that we're capable of determining a fee suitable at this point.
Right, because we don't know exactly how many borings they'll have or open cuts they'll have. So I guess first, how do we want to move forward with the right-of-way cut permit that we have, the application?
I guess I would feel comfortable with your suggestion of the table the fees until the completion of the project.
So in any of these recommendations, we would still need to approve the right-of-way cut permit application that we have before us. And I believe that Katie's email explains that she'll collect these fees, but then any fees moving forward, if we were to follow the third recommendation of tabling until completion, then we could get together, like you said, George, and determine an appropriate amount rather than having them go through this this process every time they cut or bore. Because it could potentially be many, many times, assuming their project moves forward.
So every time that they make an open cut or bore, and I know Katie's not here right now, are we going to know about it? Because all it says is to be determined on everything. So I guess that just, I mean, are they just gonna go out and cut and do whatever they want if we approve this, or that's my concern. I would just like to know what's going on and make sure that the highway department understands what's going on as well.
Yeah. Get that. I want to say no, but I can't speak for Katie because I don't know. So hopefully the highway department would know every time there's a cut or a bore. I think they're just trying to hold off on the collection of fees and hold off on completing an application for every single cut or bore.
Okay, I think I would feel most comfortable tabling it until we have more information, because to be determined on a huge project like that just concerns me, and we don't have Katie here to answer any questions.
Sure.
So I'll make a motion that we table it until our following meeting.
Okay.
I'd second that.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to table until our next meeting. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Schrum,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. Okay, we have two facilities requests. The first request is for First Fridays for the use of the courthouse lawn for the First Friday events. It would be, and also the northeast corner for banner from Monday through Friday, the week of each event. So they put a banner out on Monday and leave it through the event on Friday, a banner on the yard. Is that, George, is that something that they've done in the past, the banner?
I don't remember the banner being up, but I would hope that, have they gone through Mark Sturdivant to make sure that he's okay with that?
And I can speak to that, guys. I'm actually on the board, and if you remember at that corner, there is always a banner for 3, 4, 5 days leading up to the event to kind of introduce it. It's been that way for years. That's how we
So
kind of thank our sponsors too.
There's no change to this, as it appears, correct, Matt?
Yeah,
Besides
it's the same as it has been.
our difference? Okay. I have no issues with it.
Okay, and I'm sure that Mark is more than willing to work with them if they need to mow or if something else needs to happen. Maybe there may be times where the banner needs to be removed for a short term, but I feel that by approving this, there's just going to be an understanding that sometimes
We can
something might
table it
change.
if you'd like. I mean, it's not until
I feel
June.
comfortable with approving,
Okay.
but just knowing that sometimes if there's a banner in the yard, it may need to be removed for a short period of time for regular lawn maintenance or something.
I'd make a motion, we approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Anything further? Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and I am an aye. The second facilities request that we have is from, appears to be the Catholic Church St. Paul of the Cross. This would be on Palm Sunday for their service. And they're asking for use of the gazebo and its surroundings near the courthouse. So the date requested is April 10th, and the times are from 9:45 a.m. until 10:45.
I have no issues with it. I'll make a motion to approve the request as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Anything further? I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Sheriff Gatton with a jail report. Yeah, Willy County Sheriff, thanks for seeing me today since I was on the agenda, but I wanted to get this out of the way so it doesn't sit for a month. So pretty much I sent it out to everybody under the state statute. I have to have it in by March 31st. As you can see, I pushed the limits this year. Total people booked in, we'll just hit some of the highlights. The jail last year was 1,374. That was just slightly down from the year before. Top number one offense again was drug-related offenses. That can be from possession, dealing, just different drug. But when you start breaking it down, that averages out to like 67.75 people booked into the jail every month for drug-related offenses. So same thing with operating intoxicated, breaks down to 56 roughly. Jail staff down below, average bookings per day was 3.76. And that's also an average of 3.71 going out of the jail. Both of those were down just a little bit from a couple of years back. The average daily population for inmates housed at the jail for 2021 was 131.8. That was up quite a bit from 2020, but we have to take into effect the COVID year of 2020 and a lot of long forming. The highest populations happened on several days. Just at the jail was 152 inmates. The highest population for the jail and work release in 2021 was 198. That's down. I don't believe Paula is fully recovered from the COVID of getting people out because we're not finding enough qualified to come out. So she's still a little bit down. The lowest day of population in jail was 93. Of course, that number populates, but it's very unlikely that we sustain that low a number. It's very short-lived. Down below, I'll jump down to the average stay in days. It's went down for both felony and misdemeanors. Felony stay, the average is 112.32, and misdemeanors at 18.59 days, down from 22.6. And those are felonies. When I talk felonies, those are felonies that stay just at the jail and then get released, not inmates that go to Department of Corrections. Incident reports, they were up just a little bit on chemical agent deployments. We went 3 years without spraying anybody. We had 4 last year. Taser deployment was down by 1. Restraint chair use is normal. It's been back and forth. So the staff in the jail did 776 unannounced cell walkthroughs, which they're just looking for contraband, checking cells for anything extra laying out that's not supposed to be. On page 4, clear down at the bottom, additional information. There were 2 escapes or failure to return to lawful detention in 2021. There was 3 in 2020. Those came from work release. We're up just a little bit from walkaways, but really wasn't too. Just somebody goes out, in my opinion, pushes himself and can't restrain from their addiction and try something and doesn't want to come back to the facility. Jail staffing on page 5, we're still down a little bit. It's a struggle to hire. We've been through a couple processes and still can't fill all the positions we have. This last time we interviewed quite a few that we thought were going to work out really good, and then when you call them and tell them what shift they'll probably be on permanently, then they denied the offer of employment. And I just listed in there that the commissioners had purchased the land for the jail, state jail inspector to see, and that plans were moving forward for a design of the new jail. The only other thing I have for you is some news at the Sheriff's Department. We've been fortunate enough here recently to get a grant for body cameras for officers. Our portion of the grant is only $3,800 that we'll pay for to get that. We're finishing up the final pricing of what it costs monthly to run those cameras through and to store them in the cloud because we don't have enough space over at the county to do that. So that's something exciting happening for us to protect the officers and people a little better. We recently, just last week, had the new transport van finished up. I was fortunate enough to buy that out of commissary, so I've been able to purchase 6 vehicles since I've been sheriff out of commissary that we used to have a rotation where every 2 years we would need a 4th vehicle instead of 3, and I've never had to come ask for that 4th vehicle. So I guess that's something I'm pretty proud of. And then the last thing we're looking into right now is all our in-car computers are out of warranty and some of them are breaking. So I'm looking at getting new computers, but I believe I have enough in commissary to budget that too. That's just a fast, quick overlook of how big the report is, but. Any questions?
Are you sad this is your last yearly report?
I am not. I am not. No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, next on the agenda will be payroll and accounts payable claims. And as you recall, we're needing to do those in separate motions. I had a chance to review both payroll and accounts payable this morning and did not find any issue. Actually, the only thing that caught my attention this morning on claims was a kennel purchased by the sheriff. And it just caught my attention. Nothing red flagged. I just didn't know about that. Later this month, one of my goals was to implement 2 canines. So later this month, we're going to look at another dog that's going to be purchased out of the money we received during Cass's fund and the canine fund. We're just prepping. Deputy Barber will be assigned this dog. So right now, we're just starting on getting that set up in the house. So when the dog comes home, we're ready. So the kennel is physically located at the residence of the deputy? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was the only thing that I saw that was out of the norm, something I hadn't seen before. So other than that, everything looked as usual.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Okay, I have a motion to approve payroll
Second?
and I have a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well.
And I will also make a motion to approve accounts payable.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second for accounts payable. I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and Commissioner Mix is an aye as well. We have 2 sets of meeting minutes to approve. We had our March 21st, 2022 meeting, as well as the joint commissioners and council meeting on March 28th. Has everyone had a chance to review those meeting minutes?
Yes.
Do you need a separate motion for that, Tiffany?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the March 21st, 2022 meeting minutes.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Schrumpf,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and Commissioner Banks is an aye. And I would entertain a motion to approve the March 28th, 2022 Commissioner Council joint meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 28th, 2022 commissioner minutes.
I'll abstain.
Okay, I have a motion, I'll second. And we do have one abstention. I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Green
Aye.
and Commissioner Banks is an aye. somewhere. Is there anything that anyone else would like to add today? Anything from the public? Anything from the auditor? Commissioner Schrumpf
Not at this time.
and Commissioner Green?
The only thing that I wanted to bring up was the security of this building. Over the last couple of years, we've just had a few incidents with our employees. They've gotten a little spooked. Was it last week or the week before? We had some people coming in and went into every office and were filming the employees. We don't think they had any malicious intent, but it definitely, scared the employees, and it's not what they signed up for. So that will be, security of this building will be on our radar to do something about it.
And I do know that Sheriff Gatton has made mention before that that's in the 23 budget. And of course, we might look at wanting to maybe move that up, but we'll find, if we do, we'll need to find the funding and have council on board with that. But that's something that personally I support. I think that having security presence in the building makes more sense than the duress buttons. The duress buttons don't make a lot of sense to me, but it'd be nice to have the security. And I have nothing else to add. Thanks for coming today. I'll adjourn the meeting.
We should do that every time instead of passing the papers back and forth 98 times.